The following content has been provided by RWTH Aachen University.
You've already seen this wonderful elevator control, and you've talked about how many floors there are. Yes, there are only two. You've talked about how, from a Gestalt law principle, simply because of the law of proximity, those two buttons are closer to each other than those two are, so it would make much more sense to put related controls into above each other rather than next to each other. But now, with mappings, you understand one more thing, which is also, if I don't know what 99 or 00 is, if I just put 00 at the top and 99 below, then it's a mapping where everybody will assume that the top button will lead to the top floor, right? And the bottom will lead to the floor below. So natural mappings also help, fix or improve interfaces, even if you are struggling with other difficulties, like this elevator from hell. Okay, another example. This was my home stove at home, and it has these wonderful controls for the four cooking fields here, which you can actually see, including little indicators that tell you which one is where. But as you can see right now, I'm taking this picture, but I can't really reach my cooking surface. Once you're actually in working position, you don't see those controls anymore. You don't see the labels anymore. So that's a problem, right? And they only have these little labels next to each other because the arrangement of the stove is actually not natural. The mapping that we're looking at here is basically, we've got 4 cooking fields, and we've got 4 buttons. And these 4 buttons, because of industrial design limitations, whatever, are put in a single row. Now, if you, again, put on your mathematician's hat for a moment, that means if I wanted to sort these completely arbitrary, I need to now map these 4 buttons to these 4 controls. If I look at all the possible arrangements, there are 24. Now, some of them really don't make any sense at all, right? Obviously, you would want the 2 left controls be controlled by the 2 left buttons, right? That's obvious. So even if you do that, though, that still leaves 4 possible arrangements, right? Because you can still flip those 2 around, and you can flip those 2 around independent of each other. That's why labeling is required. And oftentimes, labels are really an indicator of suboptimal design, because we have to put the one-word instruction manual basically there that says push on the door, that is not obvious to be pushed. So I'd like to hear some suggestions. How could we fix that? How could we make a better stove control? Any ideas? Yep.
I mean, combining what you said, the best solution would be to have on the top, so you don't have to look from the side. On the top, 4 knobs arranged exactly the same as the cooking field.
Exactly.
And
right.
I remember at my parents' home, at least the indicators whether the cooking plate is on is exactly on the top, arranged the way the cooking fields are. So controls could be arranged that way.
Right. So that's the sort of one of the most obvious solutions. Just put the 4 controls next to the 4 cooking fields in the same arrangement. Other thoughts? Yes.
There's other arrangements, like put 2 buttons a little higher than the other 2.
Yes. Yes. So now this is something that what you described. You need to put the controls on top, which is a major sort of design change and has other issues, like if I pour milk on them, they might break and all that kind of stuff. If I want to leave them at the front, then like you said, I could actually use them and arrange them, for example, like this, right? So this was kind of your solution. Put them at the top in a square. I could also put them at the front and make a square. And then the only question remains, how do I map from the front to the top? But that is kind of obvious because I'm looking at both of them from an angle, so it will just fold over, right? The top row of my controls at the front will be the back row of the controls on top. Or this is another way of doing it. If you said you've got basically, instead of the 4 things in a line, you basically arrange them in something like this, right? So that basically means that you have got 4 controls which are arranged like that. And why is that sort of a clear mapping? If you took the 4 knobs and arranged them like this, which plate do you think this one controls? Certainly one of the 2 left plates. Which one? The left top, yeah. And you said top, although it's actually sort of the back, right? But you're right, because of your point of view, your perspective view, it ends up in your field of view being at the top because it's further back. Right? So that makes perfect sense. So those solutions are a way to address this even without having to do major changes. You could also move each control right next to the plate where it is. That would also follow the law of proximity. Put the control right next to the actual stove plate. But other issues of safety, etc.
This content was provided by RWTH Aachen University.